Marbles, and welcome to the Marbles podcast. My name is Brendan.
And I'm Commander Wolf.
There is just no sense to the intros anymore. But welcome to the Marble Sports Worldwide podcast, as the actual name. We have I think a pretty big episode coming up here, so we're not going to waste too much time in the intro talking about nonsense. Though I will mention a little nonsense. I did go out disc golfing yesterday, and I just had a lot of fun again. It was such a long bike ride to get to like the closest place near here, but I went out, and then there was this one. We did like the course a few times because we were there like most of the day, and then there was one. There was like this one part of the land. So there's like a hole, a disc golf hole where basically it starts at one end of like a soccer field on the edge of the soccer field, and it goes across the whole field to the other end. So it's like just a long hole on an open field, and it's a really fun hole because it's like, it's not too, you don't have to be too accurate. You just have to throw fire, right? And then that one's fun, but right behind that, so if you were to go from the hole out to the start of the hole and then continue in that direction, you have this uphill, green, grassy area, beautifully manicured, that goes all the way up to the top of where like I guess some of the buildings at the college, and then there's like a whole outcropping with like 3 flagpoles, and it's like much higher up. So us being guys that are throwing things far, we were like, what if we threw it from up at the top of that outcropping where the flagpoles are all the way down to the soccer field area? And so we had a lot of fun like filming and throwing like these bombs from like the top of the outcropping, and it was so fun. Like definitely some crazy distance there because there's so much height as well. So I don't know, just fun stuff we do. I also did throw a couple discs that got away from me, and then they slammed into some of the buildings. One of my discs got chipped, so I had to kind of get a new one.
Oh, boy.
But it's all for the fun of it. All for the fun of that one majestic throw where it floats for like an hour. But yeah, that was overall pretty fun. Otherwise, things are just about the same. A lot of finals, a lot of projects I have to get done in the next couple of weeks, and then I'm finally going back home. I'm going to enjoy my Christmas off. Waff?
Yeah, I don't have too much going on. I've been kind of focusing all on everything going on that we're going to be discussing. So yeah, we're gonna take care of that today, I suppose.
Yeah, but you know what, Waff? I'll tell you what, man. Sometimes I get tired, man. There's so much going on in life, and especially these coming weeks where I have 3 finals. I have 3 finals in 1 week, and 2 projects due. It's just the hardest, and a paper due. This is the hardest time of any person's year. And I'm someone who has trouble focusing. I mean, I can't even show up to my own podcast on time, let alone get work done efficiently. So it would be nice if I had something to help me focus. And I found something that helps me focus, that stays awake and alert, and not jittery, but literally just focused. And that is this product I've been using called Magic Mind. How about that, Waff? How about that? Right, it has improved my ability to focus so much, and actually, again, it's not like caffeine where you get all jittery and you just like, yeah, you're awake, but you're not really in control. No, it like really locks me in, and it still keeps me awake, which is nice because I'm prone to just sleep all the time. So I think that this product has been so good for me, and believe it or not, Waff, it's also our sponsor for this episode. So it's kind of like a double win-win right there. Ingredients-wise, this is natural ingredients, no sugar, it's nut-free, it's vegan, it's keto, it's paleo-friendly. It is all natural, the best suppliers they could find. They got some awesome extra ingredients in there that are natural and have incredible effects like Bacopa Manieri, which is great versus impulsivity. It improves that attention span, your ability to process, and again, that impulsivity, that non-jittery feeling is really what you want to avoid, right? Or you have ashwagandha, which is a medicinal element that's been used since like the BC times. It reduces stress, it reduces anxiety, and at the same time keeping you awake. So there are some really cool ingredients. And so I definitely support this project and want you guys to try it as well, so you guys can focus and be awake in your lives. So visit magicmind.com/MSWpod20. That's magicmind.com/MSWpod20. And you can get 20% off your first order or 56% off a subscription, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people have been talking about it other than this podcast, a lot of much bigger names. So definitely worth it. So again, MSWpod20 at the site magicmind.com. All right.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to Magic Mind for supporting us. And I guess now we're just I think we decided we're not gonna do a news segment here. We kind of gotta get going, and so yeah, we're just gonna jump into talking about the most recent event of Marble League.
Yep, and basically how it's gonna work is we're gonna cover that relatively quickly. We just got one event, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn it over to a guest that you already probably guessed it. You already probably guessed who it is. And we're going to talk to that guest about drama, and we'll have a little bit of a serious talk, and then we're going to follow that up with another episode soon with more serious talk. So a lot to come right here, and in there we'll wrap up Marble League at some point. All right, wow. So let's quickly cover our event from this past week, which I'll start actually on this one. Believe it or not, usually I give it over to Waf, but I'll start by saying my A start has worked out. I will say. I chose Galactic for my ×3 instead of the Pinkies, which ended up not being the best choice. I could have probably gotten a blue square and reduced one of my X's in the A start. But, I mean, you know, the chances of the Pinkies getting second in Sand Rally is not high because they did, and they had that different formula where there were 2 races, so it's not the same type of Sand Rally. We were wagering on a different type of Sand Rally. We didn't really know that it would have been formatted like this, so I don't beat myself up for not thinking the Pinkies would get second. But things worked out in the fantasy otherwise because I got 50 points from the Crazy Cat's Eyes with them as a ×2, and so I was way above the computer, which continually sucks at making picks. But let's start with thoughts. Again, I'll get us started. I think the Sand Rally Sand Rally. I like Sand Rally. Of course, there's nothing to hate about it. It's a classic. It's the OG of marble sports in some degree. And particularly, I think the 2 runs were good. I actually like the 2 runs. I think that one of the things about Sand Rally that was always like, it's kind of like in the M1 sense, except M1 has so many laps that you can kind of forgive this more. It's if you get off to a bad start, it's over. Right? In one race, if you're off to a bad start from the gate, then you kind of are not really getting up to the front, right? In most scenarios. And so it's like one race seems like there's a lot of RNG elements, a lot of luck-based elements in the Sand Rally if you're not within that top 10, top 7 marbles after the first 10 seconds. So I think 2 races where it's like, okay, we'll take the best of 2 races, so you have to show that you are good at least one of the 2 times, reduces the luck-based nature, and I appreciate it. And then, of course, even in that, Crazy Cat's Eyes were good in both, and that was wonderful. They had the best time after the 2 races, which was, Red Eye. Red Eye is just a monster out there. But I think that overall, the course was really freaking good this year. I liked it a lot. And I think the new format's good, so I'm going to give this a solid 9 out of 10.
Oh boy. Your opinion is very different from a lot of people we've been talking to. So here, I enjoyed the fast nature of it, and also, but how it still felt like a long race. But the shot composition was a bit weird in places where it wasn't focusing on the things I felt like it should have. And also, it's weird to do this type of style for Sand Rally instead of the heat style. I've heard from some community members the reason why they did is because it was so windy, and so they wanted to do multiple heats, so that way if the wind screwed over a marble, they would have another chance to go. But you could have just done a different day. It's very weird, and also the 2 heats, the only heat that actually really kind of mattered, with the exception of I think 1 marble from what I heard, was I can't remember the name of the marble, but Heat 2 is the only one that actually really mattered. Heat 1 was basically a formality. So I don't know. I appreciate kind of the style of it. Wasn't a two Marps. Oh yeah, Snowy and Starry. Thank you, Akanon. So yeah, like it was almost pointless. And also, like, as a Momo fan, I was very upset with the rock at the beginning of I don't know if like the rocks were there intentionally or if they just didn't remove them. I don't. We'll see. Regardless, like everyone had to get around the rock, so it's still fair. I just hate it. But I. If they just waited to do it on a different day and done a normal style of how they do stand rally, where like it's like a 6-6 and or 6-6 and then the last, or it was 8-8 and then the last 8 on the run, I think that still would have been better. It gives you more races, and the races actually all of them matter. All of them would matter.
I think I can see your point in that. I actually forgot about the 8-8-8 structure that was last year, which was actually even better because then if you have small groups of 8, yes, even the 8th place marble can make it up in the sand rally distance, and then you take the top four and do that. So actually, I do think that's a better structure. So in lieu of that, I think I would drop my rating to about a 7. Because that is a much better structure and still allows for not a lot of there's less luck-based nature than just one big race. So I think that's fair. I did forget about that structure from last year. I do still think that this structure, I wouldn't call race 1 a formality. I mean, like, I think that's just overstating it. Like, when you look back on it, of course, yeah, it seems like a formality because race 2 is faster. But, of course, going into the races, you don't know which one's going to be faster, right? I mean, the point is get the best time. Okay? I mean, the marble still has to get down there in the time that they achieve in order for it to be allotted to them. It just so happens that a lot of the best times happened in race 2. That didn't have to happen. Okay? If it had to happen that race 2 was faster, then race 1 would always be a formality. But it doesn't necessarily need to be that way. It's simply, it's more likely that you're going to have 2 races with different times from each of the marbles, that 2 races going to yield the exact same times from each of the marbles. So I think that that's not necessarily the best way to describe that. But I will say that the previous format, also the rocks and stuff are cool. You just have to make sure they're balanced. But like you said, everybody has to handle them. And I want that. I've always wanted in continual features, continual problems added to the track. And I think they get better at that.
True.
But other than that, I think that like, the one thing I will say is that the previous format of 8, 8, and 8 is a much better format than this one, and this one's a better format than just one big race. That's what I'll say in finality, and leave it as so.
Yeah, I would say my rating is maybe like a 6.5 out of 10. Like, it was just like, it feels like they was kind of rushed out there. Like, they didn't want to, like for one reason or another, like someone on the team was like, no, we got to do it now, today. We can't wait till tomorrow or another week. We got to just get it done now. So I think that was probably its biggest detractor and what led to a lot of its problems is just it was rushed.
Yeah, I think that's very possible. I don't know about those other factors, but that's more just like classic JMR. But I just try to judge the event that's given to me in the video, right? So I think that I'll still give it that 7.5. But here's something to think about. Let's look at the last bit of the standings so we understand what things are looking at. Yeah, look at these standings here. You kind of get a sense of where things are going as we head into the final event. Obviously, the speeders have an advantage because the speeders, are 15 points ahead of the field. Well, when you're 15 points ahead, then the place you have to get to be in danger is decreased by a lot, right? So obviously, like, think about it like this. The speeders with their current points value, if they get first, no matter what happens in the standings, they win, right? If they get second, no matter what happens in the standings, they win. Same with third, right? Because pretty much any placement in which they are distanced by more than 25 points from second place means that they win no matter what. Because, like, what do I mean by that? So it's like, okay, Bumblebees are the second place. They're the closest to the Savage Speeders. If they get 25 points, they're at, 151, 160, 171, 176 if they get 25 points, which means that the Savage Speeders have any result that gets them above 176, then there's no way that Bumblebees or anyone below would be able to overtake that. So all the way down to where the Savage Speeders earn 10 points, they are winning first place or in the very unlikely scenario tying for first place. And like if you want to know where that mark is, 10 points is given out to sixth. So from first through fifth, the Savage Speeders automatically win under every circumstance. Then sixth, there's the very, very, very unlikely circumstance that the Bumblebees get first and the Savage Speeders get sixth, and then they would tie. Otherwise, actually the Bumblebees would win based on the gold counter, whatever. But that very unlikely scenario, but would probably win with six is my point. And that's like sure bets. So they've already controlled a third of the leaderboard, a third of the possible placements in the last event as far as absolute wins. And then you go down. I mean, yes, technically it's a little bit easier for other teams to get in there and win as you go down the order, but it still requires those teams to be excellent. Seventh, okay, well, Bumblebees or the Pinkies have to get first place, okay? Eighth, well, Bumblebees or the Pinkies have to get first place. Ninth, well, Bumblebees or the Pinkies have to get first place. You understand what I'm saying? And I think 10th is where the Cat's Eyes also need first place to get in there. And so the Savage Speeders, if they want to play the odds, basically need to do 10th or better, and they're 9 times out of 10, maybe even 99 out of 100 times going to be in that situation first place. I think once you get from 11th to 16th, then it starts to get dicey because then like the Rojo Rollers have an option, and then some of the other teams only need second. But you see the point? Like they're going to need like second. One of these teams in this top 5, other than the Speeders, is going to need to get a silver medal in order to even give them the potential chance to even contend with the Savage Speeders. That's why I think the Savage Speeders are going to win, because it's hard for me to see both of those things happen. Those 4 teams at the top. Sorry, Waff, I know I'm going off, but I want to get this full thought out. The 4 teams at the top doing as good as silver and gold, and the Savage Speeders doing as bad as like sub 11, that just seems unlikely to me.
Yeah, no, it is kind of the situation here. Like, the Cat's Eyes could totally win the race, but the Savage Speeders are also good at Marbula 1 racing. So, like, it's just like, it's so unlikely. It's gonna be very hard to have it all come together.
Yeah, I think that the one caveat to this, and this caveat we can't say, like when I gave the description I did based on looking at the leaderboard, but the one caveat to this is that the Crazy Cat's Eyes are going to start in pole position, right? That makes it a lot easier for that team to get first or second. Now,
right, yeah, that part's pretty easy.
That caveat means that the Cat's Eyes have this weird advantage over the entire field right now, even the Bumblebees, because they're a team that gets first a lot in M1, plus they get pole position. So I think that the Cat's Eyes kind of put a weird danger into this whole situation. The problem is, if the Cat's Eyes get first, all right, 47, 57, 67, they'll be at 162, right? No, 172, right? Which means that the Savage Speeders only need 7 points to ensure that even if the Cat's Eyes get first, as is very possible, okay, that they will still win. So, I mean, in 7 points, you only need to get 9th. The Savage Speeders get 9th or higher, even with this current change in advantage. I mean, the Savage Speeders still win, no problem. So I think that it's still very hard for any other team to win this. They need 2 or 3 things to kind of work out for them. And then the only other thing I'll throw in is that it would be funny and exciting if the Rojo Rollers won.
Yes, I am rooting for the Rojo Rollers to win this. That'd be amazing.
That would be so cool. If they get a good jump, I'm cheering for them the whole way. I almost wish I had them in my ×3 for this last...
Nah.
But anyway.
Yeah, it's I think it's time we transition to our other main topic for the day, and it's a big one. So I think we should say hello to our guest.
Yeah, let's say hello to our guest, and let's get into the big topic.
Welcome, Stynth.
Hi.
Uh, Hi.
Hello there.
It's great to have you back on the show. I wish it was under better circumstances, but we're here to talk about some big stuff.
Thank you for having me and trusting me to go through all of these difficult things. I I outlined what we're talking about today. Well, I helped Waf outline.
Yeah,
And
I'm so glad you were here for this. Like, it was so much to handle all on my own. Like, this is a deep rabbit hole. We didn't think we would go as deep as we did.
So, whoa, this is an 11-page outline. So
Some of it is because of images, but yes, it is still a lot to go over.
this is how I see this. Waf and Stynth are more read up on this than I am. So this will be fun because they'll be coming from an I'm already informed perspective and helping us be informed, and I'll be coming from I know a lot of this general stuff already, and I know a lot of the history, but I'll be coming from a reacting to hearing new things perspective, which will be fun too. So basically, this is what we're going to spend the episode on. There's a lot going on here, and this is very serious because this, of course, has an effect on the entire community and the channel. And so we're just going to get down to it. It's funny because this is only part of the whole story that we have to finish on a different episode. But I think we should start with Stynth, and Stynth, just introduce everything that's going on here and who Conrad-Heinz is and all that and why we're talking about them, and then we'll kind of work our way through the outline.
I'd actually like to start with Waf.
Okay,
Covered his
we're starting
intro
with
stuff.
Waf then.
Yeah, we kind of actually put together. It was like, okay, what order do we want to go here? So, I wanted to start us off here because I was on Term's episode of Let It Roll, like 197,
Yep,
and
I
I
saw
talked
that.
we talked about some of this stuff, but I definitely got a few things wrong about the Chinese fan community space. So I wanted to start off to kind of correct things. So, essentially, this is about what happened over on the JMR Billy channel, and the community itself. Basically, they kind of just lost everything after some sudden, a little bit of leadership change where, some of the longtime community members had their access removed and it was all handed over to a group called Whiteboard, which have actually been around since April 9th of 2022. They've been, doing things, running the official JMR channel to a degree of, posting stuff. But after all control was basically handed to them, several dozens of I think maybe even thousands of posts and fan translations, fan created content were all just deleted. Imagine basically if the JMR Reddit was just mostly deleted out of nowhere, or the Marble base had 99% of its content kind of just deleted suddenly without warning. That's basically what happened to them. They lost pretty much everything that they had worked on, and that's why it's important that we talk about this, because they even though they're across the ocean from us, we are all JMR fans together, and this is the Marble Sports Worldwide podcast. So we gotta make good on that name, and we're going to defend our fans from across the world.
It's really tough because I know people just want to talk about marbles and enjoying just the marbles, and trust me, I do too. This brings me no joy. I would much rather just be neck deep in a project, writing passionate lore and helping others write passionate lore about all of these amazing marble sports events that Yellow creates. But what is happening behind the scenes, you can't just treat it with the just marbles mindset when harmful people that are elevating abusive actions are not being held accountable. So we're covering one of those today. This is a member of the community who is also a member of the JMA, did not start that way, of course, and also a member of JMR China. And now that they're on the JMA, a member of authority within JMR China. So we need to hold them accountable without harassing them.
Yes.
there is a distinct difference between calling someone out for their abusive actions and harassing someone. So we I guess I just want to say that like we're aware of that line and we don't want to cross it, and we also don't want you all in the marble sports community to cross it. We all need to stand together as fans, and if we're crossing the line, then we're standing separately. So we want to encourage the community to be stronger than the negativity of Conrad-Heinz. That's why we're here.
Yes. All right. So I guess to kind of get us started here, how this kind of all happened. So this is kind of insane. So Conrad-Heinz has a Billy account, and they would make articles under apparently multiple pseudonyms. One of them being Alter Ego, which they would then use that like under their account, as well as posting on like the main account of Whiteboard for like that whole organization that kind of helped things. And like they would say like very negative things. And like this was like very publicly known, like because they used the pseudonym on like the title of the article, the first like which was like a hate piece basically on was it the primary team primary, right?
I believe so.
Yes, I see.
Yeah, Prim
I see a note
specifically.
about that
Yes,
here. I have the outline up on the Chrome screen. That's okay with you guys, right?
yeah. We'll be actually posting it publicly
very
after
good.
this.
So
description.
yeah, I see this part later on in the outline here says well, at the end of the first page, it's about Prim slandering.
Yeah, so
Prim.
March 8th, 2021. This is when the JMRC was still active. And the Billy space, it was made in 2020. Apparently, there's some, they aren't sure who made the Billy account itself. We thought it was Saratobi. But we do know that the separate JMR China fan community was created by Saratobi. For those who don't remember who Saratobi is, they were a former JMR China community manager who got ousted back in October, like lost access to the account when JMR took it over, and then they were the one who made that public on the Marble Base and subreddit, and also posted a video about it. To go back to Heinz, Heinz at this time was just a fan, posted an article in the Billy space, not the Whiteboard, slandering Prim before the Pallet Park GP.
Yes.
At this point, like Heinz wasn't working behind the scenes, so Heinz didn't know any of the results in advance. But as we go on within this outline, you're going to see that changing.
Yes, and at the very top of the article there, I did like Google Translate it. They said like please don't take this seriously. Please don't take this seriously. Please don't take this seriously. So like at least at the start, they seem to have intended for like they say that like I guess like this is meant to be all in good fun, but as we'll see, like in context of everything else, it seems like it's actually very intentional. Like even if they don't like actually truly feel the strength of the emotion that they put in these articles, they do believe the points that they are putting within it.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on here in this article. It doesn't really make sense to me. I think that on this article alone, I can't make any claims about this person because this just seems like another random person writing their own view, on whatever Marvel. So there's nothing wrong here. I do think this is really friggin' weird. I think this whatever he's saying doesn't make any like it's just not. I'm not really understanding the point here, but I think that from this alone, there's nothing, but I can see where this might fit into the greater picture as we go along, right?
It's on its own, it's comparable to like any post you would see on Reddit from someone slandering Marble. But I think what this shows is that this behavior has been going on like longer than Conrad's or Heinz's involvement in like behind the scenes. So I think we should also mention, because this Google Docs timeline, it jumps a little bit.
Wait, before we do that, let's get this clear. So this guy, this Conrad-Heinz, is the same as this alter ego at account, which is also the same as the Underwood Francis guy, who is also the same as John Y.
Yes. So like
they're all the same. That's all the same thing.
Yes. So Underwood Francis is what they like. You've probably seen that name on some of the JMR credit sequences, which has been normally placed next to John Ye or just John Y. So they're like that's like their pseudonym or username on Discord. Underwood Francis is some people might know is actually a reference to the character Francis Underwood from the show House of Cards. The reason why it's backwards is because in Chinese you would normally say your last name first, so that's why it's like that. So his profile picture is also like as you see at the top of the banner there, that exact image of Francis Underwood like sitting on that chair. So very clearly meant to be a reference to House of Cards. And Conrad-Heinz's first Reddit post is about the show House of Cards.
Interesting.
Yeah, like first, like there were comments beforehand.
I'm looking at it right now. That's interesting.
These comments were like actually on like the JMRC fallout, Mel's resignation, like all the way back in April 2021. So this is where we're kind of like starting to bridge that gap in the Doc's timeline. But this Reddit post asking about House of Cards was made in May 2021. So again, like super very early on, to the point where like you're not going to be thinking anything about this user and their identity and behavior. But looking back, all the dots connect, which is crazy.
Yes, and the reason why we know, like you'll see soon, they'll be privy to information that they shouldn't be if they weren't a JMA member. So like it's pretty obvious that these are all one and the same person, and that's kind of so now we can kind of hit the timeline section, and we're gonna see how that progressed. A lot of this information was accumulated by two anonymous informants. We'll leave them anonymous as they asked to be, but they are two members of the community who have gathered a lot of information. We'll be sharing that we got permission to share their timeline and their info dump as well in this episode. So there's a lot of information that you can go and check out after this episode if you want to do further research yourself. But we're going to try and keep it all as condensed as we possibly can here in this episode for you to get the broad overview at the very least. So yeah, I guess Stynth, do you want to take it from here to start off the
right
prim
now,
post?
I mean,
we kind of went that one.
I'm in the timeline at about 4:10, so let's look at. I guess we're there.
Yeah, we're in 2022 now. There's a little bit of a jump. We know that the JMA up to the end of Marble Maniacs, Heinz was not on it, / Underwood was not on it. But we're coming around to Marble 1 Season 3. I think the JMA recruited some new members, and they had this new member, Underwood Francis, join. Underwood Francis, they started... at this point, we have no idea that they are Conrad-Heinz. And we start seeing this Conrad-Heinz in the Chinese community start to like become more active and post more interviews, like both using their alter ego alias or character, that is. Mm-hmm. So one of them that we saw in April 2022 was slandering Hazy during Marbula 1 Season 3. I think Marbula 1 Season 3 was out for like a couple weeks at this point. Then later in the month, we saw Heinz posting in an article interviewing Toby, who is a Chocolatiers fan, and then Bon Bon won the next Grand Prix at the O Raceway. And then in July, this is when we get the first Pinky Spud mention.
Yes, so this is actually a big thing. So in the community, their nickname is Tudo Dansu, which is Spud in Chinese. So even within the article yourself, you can click on it. Like it's titled like Heinz has become the technical director of the Pinkies, and so like Pinky Spud is like meant to be their self-insert character essentially. And the crazy thing is like it was actually hard for me to find info on them. They're not mentioned in the wiki because they're only mentioned
went on in one Marble League.
Right.
That's crazy.
Well, this is during Marbula 1.
This is,
but they definitely.
No, what I'm saying, this is before the 2022 Marble League.
Yep, that's right.
That's true. Yes, that's correct.
Uh.
But like the thing is, like this Pinky Spud is not actually physically present in any of the videos. They are only mentioned by name from Greg's scripts, which is kind of weird. It's like, how did they get there? Well, it's like this Pinky Spud is only mentioned, is announced here in the Chinese community. So the only way they could really have made their way over is if someone in the JMA actively added mentions of this Pinky Spud to the scripts. So, and you can only do that if you were a JMA member who had access to it. So it actually, adds some credibility that Conrad-Heinz / Underwood Francis had access to this Greg Wood's scripts and has been adding things.
And we talked about this with EMP, right? Are there any
Yes.
screen caps that we could pull up of EMP talking about that?
Yes, we should. Let me see did I save it to my folder? I did. I did have it for like when he cites himself later, which is later in the timeline.
Right.
Yeah, but like but to try and keep this like cohesive, we'll stay in the timeline for now. But like we do have images from EMP, and we'll do like there's a lot of them on our server here. We can try and do a comprehensive dump of it all after this as well.
Yeah. The damning thing to me is that Conrad's nickname in the community is Spud. And then they released the article introducing Pinky Spud to the team, knowing, by the way, that the Pinkies had a good Marbula 1 second half. So kind of self-inserting and crediting themselves for the Pinkies having a better like season 3 second half. And then they stayed on the team like into the Marble League. We don't really know like when Heinz found out that the Pinkies were winning the 2022 Marble League. But then we eventually see comments about like the Pinkies like trying to like imply that the Pinkies are going to do well in ML 2022, but we're not there yet. We gotta talk about Hazy.
Yes.
So we mentioned before in April 2022, Heinz posted an article slandering Hazy during towards the start of Marbula 1 Season 3. And the Hazers didn't have a good Marbula 1 Season 3. I think they ended in 17th or something. But in July 2022, I guess I should also mention Hazy has had up to this point a captaincy which has led to all top half finishes in the Marble League and runner up in Marbula 1 Season 1 and still top half in Season 2. And the Hazers are falling off in Season 3, right? But it's kind of hard to up to this point imagine that being because of one specific marble. And with Heinz's history of having slandered Prim, just as a fan during Season 2, we now see that start to bleed into other teams. Of course, never the Pinkies, but the Hazers. Right. And why this is so significant, especially within the Chinese community, is because the Hazers are the most popular team in the Chinese community. Even
which makes it very weird. The China, we asked him, and it was they love the look of it, and they were marbles I think that they helped to purchase to fill the fan stands for Yella specifically. There's a lot of personal connection between the Chinese community and the Hazers, and they really love them. So it's really weird to have a guy who comes in using a tag I hate them all, you know how you have the I love them all title from Reddit for loving all the teams. They had a title for I hate them all, and they starts coming in and saying things trying to specifically bash the Hazers, and as we'll see, essentially being the one to actually spearhead getting them removed from the team, which everyone, and even over here in the States and every other country, we all, I think, universally agreed that kicking them off the team because of Marbula 1 was a stupid decision.
So within
I think
the Discord live,
I'll jump in there. I feel like we briefly discussed this, and of course, because that was in my rapidly sucks MM1 phase, and I think I was making some sort of point that doesn't make any. I might have said this, or I might have just thought this, but I was making some sort of point that doesn't make any sense because it's like, okay, you're going to remove Hazy for like basically nothing, but you guys can't take Rapidly out when he's been bad since the beginning. Like that seems like a weird. It seems like the focus is in the wrong place here. As far as I know, this is not really connected to Heinz and more just Marble stuff, but it's like I remember just saying like, hey, the focus is kind of wrong here. There's obviously better choices for Marbles that shouldn't be a part of in their spots anymore. So I don't know. I kind of was we didn't know what was going on, I guess, back then. I remember kind of being confused at the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's very a concentrated attack by them. And sorry, Stynth, I'll pass back to you.
there are several members in the Chinese community and particularly like also within our community who are like growing increasingly tired of seeing like controversial contents emphasizing the conflicts between teams. Like I understand like commentary notes like mentioning White Eye smashing tablets like might like evoke something interesting to some people, but I just like I think the other side of this is that a lot of people historically have viewed marble sports as an escape from that of real world sports. And to bring in kind of this narrative of like angry coach, marbles need to be fired, marbles need to be swapped out or go on sabbatical. It really changes the idea of this being an escape from sports to just being that of like, oh, it's another sport, which I feel like, I mean, I'm very biased because I work on a community lore that tries not to do that, but
Yeah.
there you don't want to I guess like I'm worried about the stories of JMR becoming like overly focused on negative aspects of real world sports. So this what I just linked in the Discord chat is something that Heinz posted saying a discussion about Hazy's future. And the first sentence is, I'm trying to write this down as a neutral viewer, which is like, oh boy, that did not age well. Basically the point, which is bolded, is it says, I think Hazy needs to be relieved of the captaincy after this season's M1 or even leave the team temporarily and replace him with a new member. I would love to hear your voices if you agree with my opinion, like make a petition. So that was one post that they made. A couple weeks later, we get an announcement from JMR that there's a new captain for the Hazers and that Misty is taking over. So, now Heinz comments on this post and says, finally, Misty has come back to the captain of Hazers. This is why. And now, what interests me is the future of Hazy. Where should he go? As an ordinary member, as a reserve member, or leave the team, even retire? To be honest, I think at least Hazy should take a rest and not participating in ML 2022. After such a mess season, it needs some time to refresh, to recover. It's not a word to ask a retirement or something, but just take a rest for a while. And a fan responded, don't know what relation Rain Drained has to the channel. We haven't found anything, but they said, I was also thinking of letting Hazy take a sabbatical break so they can gain their confidence back, because I feel like choking off M1, S1, S2, and ML21 must have affected them badly. Blah, 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 blah. Not to mention the negative comments they've received, especially from me. So yeah, they're better off taking a short break, and the Hazer should find someone to replace Hazy for the meantime. Heinz says, yeah, that makes sense. It's not a sentence to death since they've never done this before. Sabbatical is a nice word to explain this. It's not an end, but just a break. So, just to back up for a second, this comment was made August 10th, 2022. 2 days later, August 12th, 2022, JMR posted that the Hazy is not competing in Marble League 2022. Hazy will be taking a sabbatical. And the new captain will be Misty, while Murky will join our team as the new reserve. This was on August 12th. 2 days after that sabbatical suggestion was made to Heinz.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is highly sus. highly sus. For someone who, up to this point, we've assumed is just like a fan who like does not like at least Misty on the Hazers. And this is the result of it, which...
Who doesn't like Hazy? Not Misty. Misty's the one I wanted to place on it.
Right. Sorry, who doesn't like Hazy? So that kind of campaign of like, what should we do about Hazy? And then, Hazy should maybe go on sabbatical. And then it happened. That's surprising to anyone who, like, at this point, like, we had not connected the dots. And now that we have, it's still shocking. It's still shocking that this happened, like, just right under our noses.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think moving past Hazy, let's get to their leaking information, shall we, Stynth?
Yeah. I also I want to ask Brendan what he thinks of that too.
Well, I'm following. I think. Well, so I want to know what is the point that's being made here? Like, I'm not saying I don't understand that this is problematic. What I'm saying is, what's the point being made here? Like, hey, he's doing this stuff and he shouldn't be, or this is an abuse of his position on JMA, or it's just bad that he's trying to insert his own effects into a full community's worth of, like, what is the idea here?
I would think all of the above. Yeah. At least the Hazy situation is showing that this person is certainly an insider and no one has any idea at this point, right? So
they're specifically targeting a specific team that is exceptionally popular and beloved in their specific community, and they know will get a negative reaction.
So you'd say that's true, but you're saying it's more of a mix of, I'd say, because when I look at this, what I see that what I don't like is kind of, I guess, a mix of, number one, trying to insert your own ideas into something that is bigger than you. So, like, okay, if you don't like the Hazers, and then you have the power to, like, just mess with the Hazers team, but a lot of people do like the Hazers, then okay, it's fine to have change and drama in the community, but it's not if it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense to... That'd be like if someone went into the Speeders and was like, oh, we should remove Speedy from the Savage Speeders team. Well, that doesn't make sense based on how they're doing and based on what your average fan would think about it. So I think that I wouldn't enjoy that aspect of it. While I don't think that it's bad to have certain types of changes and dramas, let's do it in a way that honors everybody involved in it. Let's do it in a way that makes sense with the lore. I mean, like, there's a lot of people who write lore for this community that people don't hate and that can be dramatic but not super problematic. And so there is a right and wrong way to do that. The other thing, the thing that would upset me more than that would probably be the fact that if you are once you get into a position of responsibility like JMA, then you need to be doing things that have, like, leave no possibility, like go out of your way to do things that leave no possibility to leak information, to affect people's thoughts on information, to change without good reason, and good sourcing information. And, like, that's not happening when you're like, you're kind of like, because what he's doing is putting out things, he's putting out feelers, he's putting out bait for someone to latch onto, just so he can then make changes that make him happy, right? I don't like that. That'd be like if I got on JMA and then sent all the ideas for team names that I had, like, and obviously I'd never do this, but, like, I remember when I was making team names for Racing Marble League, and Waff knows my favorite team name. Tell me, what is my favorite team name they came up with for that?
It was Yagarasu.
No, Amethyst Alliance, which is just
Oh,
such
yeah.
a
Oh, that's
freaking
right,
cool
yeah.
team name, purple team and everything. There's some other good ones there to recount, like Emeralds or Breezers or like Oxygenics or like, fun names. But the point is not that. The point is like, imagine I was on JMA and I was like, oh, I really like that team name. And then for no good reason besides that I like this, I put articles out and affect situations and try to come up with a reason why a whole team should be removed from JMR.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Just so I can then be like, oh, now there's an open spot for a team. Well, there's this purple team that I like. And then so basically he's doing that in the smaller sense. So that's the selfish, because it's like selfish is I'm thinking of myself before I think of other people's. And like, it's good to have your own ideas, but you can have them unselfishly by allowing them or waiting for them to work with everybody else's ideas in a way that makes sense with the progression of the community.
It's an abuse of
that.
authority.
Yeah.
It is, and like, there's more to it than that. Like, because as Stynth's gonna go over here, they also use their insider info as a JMA member to make their other persona, Conrad-Heinz, seem like they were prophetic and like they knew things that were going to happen ahead of time to make themselves look and feel good to the other community members, as if they were like truly like enlightened and stuff. And go ahead and get into it instead.
I will jump in that really quick. It is kind of annoying how he tends to write like that he like nobody knows but him that Hazy is not good and needs to be gone. Like, and with no good reason, just I know and it needs to happen. Like there's a difference between let's make a change and we're doing that, everybody else needs to see it and we need to petition, then some guy on a podcast named Brendan is screaming that people should remove rapidly, but we're just a podcast. See you next week. Do you see? Like, so I don't like the abuse of power in that regard. Yeah.
So we're now in October 2022. This is shortly before Marble League qualifiers. And Heinz posts this on the subreddit. It seems no one takes an optimistic view for Pinkies. Well, then I would love to make a difference. Remember that Greg once said Pinkies signed a new technical director in the second half of Season 3? What happened then? Pinkies got 44 points in last 6 races and passed a Wisp. Now you might say it was only 19th and Marble League is something totally different with M1, but I would love to say the status of Pinkies after hiring technical director looks quite positive. Don't forget they almost qualified in last season and ranked second in the showdown. So why can't they make it? Pinky power. Shortly after, we see it that Pinkies have qualified and we're like, okay, maybe this is just like an optimistic like Pinky hype post.
Yeah, people are optimistic all the time.
There is more.
Want the Limers to qualify too, and every once in a while it'll happen.
Yeah, there's also like them praising themselves again, like they're the technical director. There's their self-insert.
That's the subtle thing that's hard to see, like back when it was actually happening, which is like he's attributing it. There's one thing to make a post which, hey, I think we should be more optimistic about the Speeders or the Pinkies, just whatever teams. Here's why. Oh, because this marble did this, and this stat shows this, and I'm seeing a trend. No, it's different to say, hey, I'm attributing the entirety of this increase in performance not to the actual stats that I'm using, but oh, they hired a new technical director, which just happens to also be me, a year ago. Those are two different statements, right?
So what I just linked, I agree. So what I just linked in the live chat is this is a comment on Nordique's Haters Guide posts. That within the post, he's like writing off the Pinkies because at this point in the Marble League, that would make sense. They don't have a good track record besides 2017. And Heinz comments, why not make something quite bold like Pinky smash everything and win the league? By this point, I have to think that Heinz knows the Marble League results or something close to that, where the Pinkies are like having their best year yet. Let me go to another post. This was on November 10th, which was the day after the water race came out. A fan comments, as a Pinkies diehard fan, this is the greatest day of my life. And Heinz comments below, so far. December 4th, 2022. This is before the final event came out. We have predictions for the top and bottom finishers of the Marble League and Showdown. I think we've removed this post because it was low effort. But I have access to it because I'm a mod, and Heinz comments on it, Pinkies will win the league. Just straight up. Pinkies will win.
And it's on its own, that wouldn't seem like too big of a deal, because
because I say Speeders will win the league, and I don't actually know.
like the Pinkies, like we're doing well enough to be close to the top there, so
right.
That's a reasonable prediction. But it's looking back at their previous posts of constantly pushing the Pinkies and acting like they know something more than they should. It's clear that they are saying this not because they are just believing in them, but because they know that it's the truth.
So there's one other facet to this that is just really, really just immoral. That I'm not gonna put any other label on that. So within the JMR China fan community,
Stynth, I want to cut in for 1 second. I want to just cut in for 1 second. No, you're fine, and I want to hear this that you have to say, but I want to cut in for 1 second because I think it's important just to maybe throw it here now. But so what is the idea with this guy? So what is the point? What was his point? Like, was his point like, hey, I'm going to be on JMA and then have this other account that nobody knows that the two are the same thing? So he can have the enjoyment
look
of
like a prophet.
seeming that he's a prophet of marble sports, like a real connoisseur of marble sports. So he can have his account that's a community member that's somehow really good at knowing everything, and also have his JMA. Like, was that the idea? We were never supposed to find out they were the same thing. Like, was that the point?
Yeah. And I also to make it seem like this person who's an outsider has a strong influence on the community. This is I want to read a translated excerpt. It's near the top of the line, Brendan. Where he talks about his own persona, alter ego. Is like, no one wants to be the prey in his writing. It's torture to read his articles when you are standing on the side of the home team. But the most painful ones are not those who have pricked themselves with holes and bruises. Words are the truth that you try to escape in every possible way, but can never deny. What he writes, in other words, what he himself writes, is a fact that it is 1,000 times crueler than those words. He's essentially trying to make it seem like, oh, alter ego, this person is just like so powerful, and and his words carry so much weight and influence that when he bashes Hazy, they get taken off the team. When he bashes Prim, they lose their captaincy spot. They're trying to make themselves seem like they are absolutely on top of the world in the marble community.
And this gets worse. This gets worse because it's not just for the purpose of spreading information did Heinz abuse his authority, but he also did so within the JMR China fan community prediction competition with merchandise as a reward. Heinz won. And then another member, Ender Nor, who we've associated with the whiteboard, finished third.
Yeah, Ender Nor is one of the whiteboard members, and down below you'll see they have there have been previous instances where they've done something called like a puzzle game where they've hidden results within puzzles. I've tried to solve them myself. I haven't had enough time to really dig into them, but we were sent images where they leaked the 2022 draw results before the video came out. They also leaked the qualifiers results, and that post down there with like all the blue text, that one was like, confirm that one. That is claiming that those were that chat room there is like the qualifying results. Admittedly, because I wasn't able to solve it for myself, I was not able to confirm if in fact these are the true results that were leaked early. But given that they have done this on multiple instances, it looks very suspect. But Ender Nor is not a JMA member, so the only way they could leak this information is if they had an insider to feed that to them. And based on who we all know, it would be Heinz. So it seems like, based on speculation from this, Heinz was possibly giving him just enough to place high in the competition, but didn't give him all of the answers, obviously, so the way he could take the first place position. And this competition, so on top, the first place gets the merch, straight up. But then one person randomly selected from the top 5% gets a merch as well. So Ender Nor cheated to basically be in the running for that. 20 people randomly selected from the top 25% get Billy Billy VIP, which costs roughly $3 for like a month of this status. It's kind of, or maybe more, it's kind of like Nitro for Discord essentially. And then they were out of the running for this one because like it doesn't include top 8, but one random person selected from the top 50% gets marbles.
Marbles.
So like there are actual rewards that you get from this competition that if you cheat in, like you like there's a reason to cheat for it.
Interesting.
So like Enter Nor, like again, like because this I wasn't able to confirm it, this is less me saying that Enter Nor is also a bad person, though they look kind of suspect. It's more evidence of Conrad-Heinz as a JMA is leaking information to other people that he shouldn't to aid them in cheating in fan competitions.
Which is, yeah, that's bad.
You can like bleep me out for this, but this is fucked up. Just had to say.
Yeah.
It's
Like
not
there's
right.
there's monetary stuff like that's cheating people. Like it's meant to be fun and to reflect actual predictive prowess, and then someone who has the results takes the first place position and then also helps another person unfairly.
Like if you're gonna participate in a prediction competition like this, like at least like exclude yourself from like winning the merch, like give it to the second place winner. But besides that, if people know that you're participating in the prediction competition and that you have info behind the scenes, you should not participate.
Absolutely.
So it's real fucked up that Heinz thought that this was okay and then ended up winning from it.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, it just gets deeper from there, because in February of 2023, during Marble Rally Season 6, we see yet another prediction. And this is on, like, one of those, like, Marbles on Stream posts that people, like, make. But he was like, since last time Pinky's won the league, I'm confident that Slimer will win, too. Just confident. You're confident? I wonder why.
I wonder why you would. How could you possibly know that Slimer ended up winning the Sand Marble Rally?
I remember I was not a Slimer fan, and then I got upset at that.
Yeah, but like it's like there's no other way you could know that. There was no other way.
Then we have. This is March 3rd, 2023. Heinz is still active on the whiteboard. In fact, earlier in the year, they posted advertisement for the
stop
whiteboard.
real quick. Stop real quick. At
Yeah.
what point did we realize that Heinz and Francis were the same people?
November, like last month.
Okay, so all of this is going on that we're following. At this point, when we were living through those times, we didn't realize that Heinz and Alter Ego and Francis were all the same thing.
Right.
No,
Interesting.
And that's a big deal because what's going to come up here next?
I know. I kind of took a look because that's interesting. That kind of makes things it makes it because he's always talking as if they're different things and he's just stumbling upon an article or blah blah blah. So it's like
that's
I don't know.
literally what we're about to get into.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. So it's like there is a lot of dishonesty in that. Okay. Anyway, continue.
So Heinz then posts this article during the middle of Marble Rally Season 6, slandering Red Number 3, and they do so under the Alter Ego character on the Billy Billy space on the official whiteboard. Then we see on March
23rd.
Yeah, this is the 22nd, into 23rd.
Yeah, and
Heinz. Yeah, you can go into this.
Yeah, Emp. This information came from Emp, a former JMA member. He was getting screenshots here. Underwood Francis was talking about the Not a Marble video by MSPN Hershey. Just found a really interesting probably early in the conversation because Emp brings it up, but sorry, let me slow down. Francis is just found a really interesting article talking about Red Number 3 in the Chinese community. I mean, it's quite aggressive, but from the logic parts, it makes sense, especially adding the contents of that documentary. And then Emp's that documentary isn't canon. That was a fan creation by Hershey. And then he posts the alter ego post. And it's like, you just found it. You wrote it. which means that this is evidence that Underwood was using keeping these two, Underwood and Conrad-Heinz, as separate entities so that they could basically create articles to make it seem like this is what the fans want, so that he could then cite them later to the JMA, lying to them that it's a different person, to say, hey, this is what the fans want.
Yeah,
to push his own agenda.
Yeah, because all you need is a... Well, there's also the thing that the JMA, and Dion asked him to do this, but that's a ridiculous thought for a different time.
No,
but,
I don't believe that's what happened at all.
I'm saying it's possible. Because does this seem like impossible for Dion to imagine? Because I think Dion would do something like that, but that's a different discussion. I think that's unlikely, but possible. My point is that either way, there's dishonesty in that. But I think that when doing that, because he was able to gather such a following, it was pretty easy from there, because it was like he'd put this article out, then all you need is that one big article and a bunch of comments where half of them agree, because fans are just receiving this as information and not like knowing all this yet. And so then it's like that's enough to be like, okay, well, this seems like something we can move forward with or something,
Right, yeah, like this. The main point here is like they have lied and deceived members of the Chinese community. They've leaked information to cheat fans out of their competitions, and now here we see they are lying and deceiving the JMA themselves. They are on every single level of the community, at every single level. They've deceived and lied and abused their power and authority to get the result that they specifically want to have happen, which is to make themselves look good and to make things happen in the videos that they specifically want to have happen.
We're going to talk about Dion at the end, but right now, this episode primarily should be on Conrad-Heinz and about how they are a member of our community who's actively making our experience worse. And to be honest, like based on the evidence we found, that has very little to do... It likely has little to do with Dion's influence, but at the same time, it doesn't absolve Dion for being ignorant that this fan is allowed to be a member of the JMA and deceive them and deceive community members. So we're going to talk about that very soon. I wanted to also post this Reddit thread that Heinz is also there's more Red Number 3 slander in there, and it also references the Not a Marble controversy. So now we've seen Prim receive slander, we've seen Hazy, there's even Snowflake, which we're not covering, and that was as far back as 2021, the Snowflake hate. But now we're seeing Red Number 3, and it's crazy. And it's really dangerous just to present lore this kind of way. This is people things that people are taking inspiration from. I'm not inspired by this, actually.
No, not at all. I guess going into here, so I'm gonna try and pronounce these names as good as I can. So Yuki Momo, which in Chinese I believe is Chanyi Chuji, and then it's spelled Schwarz Hong, but it's really Dion Xiaokuai. They are other two whiteboard members. One of them being someone who actually was in the translation group back when Saratobi started things. They were announced as admins of the official JMR Bilibili account, as well as joining the JMA. This locked outstanding community members such as SV Innis, Saratobi-sama, and GSXYX, which is Guiyo Soshin. Apologies to the Chinese people for pronunciation. I'm just doing my best here.
Listen, their names are very different than our names, so they gotta take a break. We do our best.
GYSX, the reason why they're significant is they've been here since the beginning too, and they're the one who provided a lot of the Hazers marbles back in 2021 to JMR. So, or it might be it was before 2021, but like they were one of the big providers for that. So, a pretty big deal.
They're one of the reasons the Hazers are like even still a team, because like having fan marbles to fill the stands is something that Yella like deeply values. And deep like takes under serious consideration when picking hosts and like continuing to like keep marble teams going.
Yeah, and after this happened, like this is when like basically the massive purge of their entire community happened, where fan translated retrospectives, fan created articles, artwork, I imagine, have all been like just culled and cut out of the system, and like Sarutobi, of course, had his big Reddit post and his big video talking about the whole situation and putting it on blast. There is Sanshahua, who made an article back in... Oh, sorry. They identified Underwood as Conrad-Heinz in a tweet. That's right. This is when like the English community and the rest of the world was being brought in. It's like, hey, here's everything that's been going on. And it's like, wait, what? And this happened the same day that both Sarutobi and Dino's videos about the copyright strikes, or both their videos were copyright struck. So like a lot of things are all happening simultaneously on multiple sides of the community.
So this is when we found out that Underwood is Heinz. Like these two like aliases are the same, and it's just crazy that in 2.5 years in the community, this wasn't like figured out. But I think it's very helpful and just eye-opening and sad to like realize that all of the facts do line up. Like besides like the House of Cards connection, I think the DM like between Emp and Underwood is like the real like nail in the coffin, but there's also just so much corresponding evidence in between Billy and the subreddit that link Underwood to Conrad-Heinz, to Alter Ego, to John Y.
I think that's pretty clear at this point. I don't understand why this guy is so, I don't know, upset or whatever, or has too much time on his hands, got a job or something, right? Like I don't really understand why he's acting the way he's acting, but it is clear that this is what it is. This is true.
Yeah, we were talking about it last night. The only thing we can think of is like based on their behavior of like spreading hatred, like coming like in like seeming to be someone who specifically wants to cause controversy. It's almost like they're similar to a troll, but this troll was given admin rights and power essentially on to make their desires like part of the actual video,
which makes them not just a troll. They're a member of the community who has authority and who is abusing that authority.
Yeah, and like after this, like some of the Chinese community, like we're starting to just try and speak out, and like Yugu, they're an artist who I really enjoyed like seeing their artwork on Twitter and whatnot. They said they weren't really a fan, like they didn't want to see the controversial contents that emphasize the conflicts between teams in like Greg's commentary, because as you probably noticed, a lot recently Greg's commentaries added like random things like, oh, these coaches are not happy, like they're like people like having like tablets thrown at each other. Or
we should also mention that Hazy, like that comment about Hazy in Marble 1 Season 4 not referring to the team, that M confirmed was written by Underwood. So Underwood has now a history of inserting a bunch of these commentary notes, like just trying to incite conflicts between teams, and this fan Yugu was not happy about it,
and they blocked her for it. They're just giving an honest opinion of like, hey, can you not have so much drama added to the scripts? Like that would be like, it's not really fun, and they just blocked her completely.
Do I want to message Conrad-Heinz and say hit the gym, kid? But I might do that because you don't know who I am. that would be funny.
And then
sorry,
like,
I'm a kid sometimes, but
just a bit.
Shut up, wow. I want to say something though. And I know you guys might actually take a different view in this, but like I want to always reinforce that my view on details or lore or dramas within the commentary or within the community, I'm not against that. That's not what I'm against here. It's not about that. I love when JMR brings the whole world together and talks about things that are happening outside of the event. That's fine. What I'm not fine with is those things not making any sense, or those things only being one person's ideas that often go against the flow of the community in regards to all those topics. Okay? They should make sense. They should be, if you're going to add lore bits, if you're going to add details to Greg's commentary, then it needs to play off of all the things that the community's coming up with and the direction that the community is going in viewing teams, not just, hey, let me throw some drama in there and say all of a sudden out of nowhere one marble just killed another one, right? That's random, and that has no basis, that has no connection to the community. If you're going to do things to try to expand the scope of the story of Marble Sports past the videos, then you need to do it in concert with the people that are watching, not just, hey, one guy has an idea and no one else even shares it, but let's throw it in there because I like it and I have the power to do
Right.
that.
And in concert with what happens like in the videos, because let's be honest, so many of these commentary notes are just like outrageous, and they dial the drama so much further than some of the event results.
Right. And like the big indicator of how like this is just kind of like one person trying to force it in there is because there is no visual element to go along with it. Whenever there is past drama, like, oh, the fans are angry and throwing things on the field, Yella actually put that in there of like, yeah, like have like the Limers fans throwing like
and it comes
scarves
to life,
and stuff
right?
on the track.
When that happens
like,
too, by the way.
Like, so it's that shows that, yeah, like everyone's on board with this like fake drama to add some like little spice to things. But when like Gregwood's talking about like, oh, White Eye broke their tablet, or like someone threw something at White Eye, and it's like, and then nothing's shown on screen. It's like there's this dissonance between the commentary and the actual video now, and it's like, what's going on here? We're not like why is this being talked about? Why is this happening? I don't see it happening at all. It seems kind of excessive.
So I want to just take this opportunity, we're towards the end of our outline, to outline the specific consequences, why all this matters. And I'll refer to Underwood / Conrad / alter ego / John as Heinz for this. So through our evidence, we've determined that Heinz has been perpetuating digital and reactive abuse within the JMR community, especially within its Chinese fan base. Heinz has been destroying trust in their online persona and manipulating fans into silence. Heinz seized control, or helped seize control, of the official JMR Bilibili space. Heinz cheated in community prediction competitions to win merch. Heinz leaked results to fellow fans on Bilibili and Reddit. Heinz has created unnecessary controversy and negativity around marble athletes and fictional personalities of JMR. And I would add to this, Heinz has deceived the JMR, I would even add in there, and the fan base.
Mm-hmm. And like something that a good point that our informants brought up is like it makes talking with them very like unnerving, because like whenever they say anything, it's like, is this another leak? Is this another spoiler? Like with them saying this team's gonna do good, like, and because they're in power, you can't silence them. So like if you can't safely engage with the community, because like their post could show up and then spoil the results of a competition for you. And like you wouldn't be certain if it was or not until it actually happened. And so it's just like they make the whole interaction on their community really like unsettling.
Yeah, I don't know if I should link either of these comments here, but they have said a few things about like the next Marble League, who should host the next Marble League, and even like, I want to see changes if this team wins their third trophy of the Marble League, which now, I mean, that's obvious, but they've said some things like, I think the Pinkies would be a great choice because to host the Marble League, because they could have like Sakura trees, and there's like the Hokkaido style in winter and Sakura Blossom. And for the other one, the Speeders, like, I want to see some changes if they win a third trophy. Speedy could retire as a legend or become the new coach. And it would be interesting.
Nah, they're going to keep winning. Nah.
It would be interesting that Rapidly and Swifty battle for the new captain. And at this point, I have no idea. Like, we legit, like, have no idea, like, is this going to happen? Is this not going to happen? And, like, I really just want to believe that this one guy's influence is not going to drive the direction of the channel, because it is just so... It's obvious that it is so biased and just so selfish through their past interactions and really actions in the community.
Why don't people just, like, all, like, mass post about this, so we, like, tell the guy, like, we all understand, we got you, like, get out of here. Like,
that's what we're doing in this podcast.
That's what
isn't it?
I guess.
Yeah, and our informants have said that they're going to try and also post some stuff again on the Bilibili side, so we can get attacks going on both sides. Like, hey, to really inform everyone involved. Like, hey, this is what's been happening. And Minos, I hope you've been listening to this. I know you said one of your comments on Discord, I can't have loose cannons in the whiteboard. Well, you got at least one, so you might want to go take care of that.
Does he listen to the podcast? Probably not.
No, but he's been keeping up with the drama on Reddit, and this is gonna definitely be there.
So I think we should also pivot to talking about, like, what JMR and the remaining JMA have done with the Bilibili space, and also, like, what is their influence in this situation. So the Bilibili space, they've removed links to the JMR China fan community, haven't restored them. I do think they, like, gave Toby some designation of, thank you for doing everything that you did. Here's this label that you used to run the community. But they also deleted various articles from the blog. So many of them were original, like, articles from members of the Chinese community. And they also, like, removed a bunch of Marble Earth, like, retrospective translations, which for some reason the evidence that they provided, or, like, the reasoning they provided, was because they would need to ask permission from us. But let me go on the record and say, no, you don't need permission to translate our articles if you want to read them. They should be for everybody. We can only write in English and the other languages that we know. But, like, please, like, you don't need our permission to translate our articles. To edit them, that's a different thing. But to translate them, no, please. Like, where our aim is to be as worldwide as this podcast is. And the other, like, big thing is we should talk about what Dion's influence in China may have been. Because the reason I bring this up is because Dion posted in response to Toby saying, like, we were ousted from the JMR Bilibili, like, community management. And Dion responded saying, you think I have influence in China? No, I haven't. It's stupid you blame someone without knowing any facts. This has nothing to do with me, but keep spreading conspiracies. Good luck. So, if Dion may not have had any influence in the way that Heinz was able, like, in what Heinz acted upon. Like, he didn't write any of the articles slandering Marbles, or, like, label his account as I hate them all, or, like, cheat in predictions. But to imply that Dion has no influence in China when we've seen DMs from Toby speaking to Dion, Toby being the former community manager, is just, it's insane. So the first DM I've linked is Toby talking about the JMRC, and then Dion basically saying, you give me stress and anger for your misjudgment. People who left are not the JMRC. The second one is from July of this year, which was when Dion approached Saratobi asking for the revenue from Bilibili, and Saratobi sent it to him. So, and this happened 3 times, by the way, asking for the revenue.
And at the very end, it's like, you're a hero. Thanks for the notification, man. Then after that, takes away all of his ability to run the community.
Wait. He actually sent them money, or like what happened?
Saratobi, like, Dion asked Saratobi to send the revenue from the Bilibili channel to the bakers, and Saratobi complied. That's involvement. That is influence. A very direct and obvious influence.
How much money did he get out of that?
Whatever it is like kind of like you would have to zoom in and unpixelate a bunch of stuff. So then what Toby recollects is that 2 hours later, like after like losing account access, they received an arrogant notice that someone had come to inform us that JMR had officially cooperated with the video platform and revoked the account operation rights. In the future, there will be professional people conducting account operation. This message came from Schwartz. Now, this is speculative, something that Saratobi considered as a possibility, but given Underwood Francis's position as a JMA member, it is possible, speculation, but possible that in some conversations we don't know, he was able to influence Dion to seize control of the Bilibili account and transfer access to JMR, as well as Yuki and Schwartz, who are on the JMA. Even still, like regardless of whether or not that's possible, I don't think what happened absolves Dion of his claimed lack of influence, because he was clearly in contact with previous community managers to ask them for money. He had to have been involved in the process of JMR cooperating with Bilibili to revoke the account operation rights. Dion's ignorance about anything that Heinz has done in the community is not an excuse for him to claim that all of this situation has nothing to do with him. And I also want to mention what happened last month with JMR copyright striking 2 videos that commented on the JMR China Bilibili space coup. And they all called out Dion for his actions against the community. When this copyright strike happened, Minos, he inferred that Dion was the member of staff responsible for doing so. The thing is, copyright strikes, they're issued when the copyright holder files a DMCA takedown request. So someone from the channel had to have manually filed a verified legal takedown request against these 2 videos covering the JMR controversy and criticism for these copyright strikes to occur. So we'll cover that in the next episode. Did we miss anything?
I feel like this is we covered most of everything, honestly. I
Let's take a breather. Because it is just very tense and crazy and unsettling, to be honest. But we needed to talk about it. And in like sharing all of this information, we want to encourage the community to be stronger than all of the negativity that Heinz has elevated through his actions.
And like again, I also want to like put out there like that we need to stand there. Like at the very least, I'll say it myself. I stand with you, Chinese community. Like you are important to me. I feel so terrible that all of this happened to you, but also everyone, to all our non-Chinese fans. Hey, this affects us too. This individual is in our sphere. They are influencing the content itself. They are pushing their own agenda. They're lying to people, cheating to win things for themselves, to make themselves look good in the community, to further their clout, and to make themselves seem super important at the expense of everyone else's fun. And even M posted like they were in favor of like trying to change the results of the last the last event of ML 2020, I believe, to make it more fun.
Oh no, sorry, this is season 4 of Marbula 1.
Season 4 of Marbula 1, my bad. But still, they're Amp posted from the chat room, like, hey, yeah, man, that race was boring. I want to change it so like we can actually have like a more interesting race. And like, nope. Like that's one thing Yellow will never let happen, is that he's not gonna let them change things. But like, this person has no qualms about about disregarding the integrity of what Marble Sports is, which is its randomness and also being free of real life drama.
It's unfortunate because Heinz is very full of real life drama, and what they have done within the community is just like, it's not. It's disingenuous. I honestly think Heinz has no place continuing to be on the JMA for their actions.
Absolutely not. Like, you can't. Like they literally have lied to everyone. Like, not even the JMA should be on their side after this.
I don't even know if JMR knows, like, to what extent, like, this user has damaged the community.
I imagine they haven't known much because, again, like if they were citing their own articles under their other alt account names as like being a separate individual from themselves, I get the feeling none of them knew.
Yeah.
Or there's a small chance they all knew and sanctioned that, but again, that's very unlikely. I don't know. I think because we're gonna wrap up here. It's an hour and a half, but I mean, for me, it's always I don't like. A lot of people can make a lot of types of mistakes that need addressing, but my least favorite are people who try to make themselves out to be something they're not, or like try to make themselves more than they are. I hate that ingenuineness. I think the best word for that is pride. That's a good one right there. I don't like that. I don't like that more than I don't like anything else. There's been a lot of different types of struggles with different people in the community or in general, but I think that's my least favorite type, especially when it gets to the degree that you're like so vain that you pose as two different people so that you can like glorify yourself with yourself but pretend that it's not, so that it looks like to other people that you are actually better than you are, but you're really just glorifying yourself. I don't know. I don't like that at all. I think that's really bad. I mean, my faith is against that to an eternal degree, we'll say, and my simple internal morality is against that to a relational degree. So I think that I don't hit the pride is too out of hand, and Dion shares in some of that same type of pride, but it comes out in a very different way. Dion would never do something silly like that because that's not how he operates. No, that's just too much work for him. But yeah. I like that's, but there's still like the same type of thing, and then see how like from pride at such a high level it can really get in the way of relationship and actual like and progress. So again, like that's really the takeaway for me here when I look at this guy. Like, this guy needs to get out. He needs to go hit the gym. All right, I might tell him that. All right, because I might not be able to resist being a kid. But he needs to get out of here. He needs to get off the computer, and he needs to work on himself, because that's just not it's not good behavior. That's like ex-camo type behavior.
I think Heinz and Dion, as we'll find, represent two sides of the same coin. Heinz is a member of the fan community with a behind-the-scenes authority that has just has performed actions to just the negative output. Words are kind of failing me now.
No, it's all right.
Dion's the same deal, but he's Yella's brother, and as we'll find, this comes at a very measurable cost to Yella as well. But the important thing is that we're all here for each other, and I want to stress from like the bottom of my heart, I deeply, deeply want the Chinese fans to know that I'm with you. I stand in solidarity with you, and I hope that in constructing and expressing the contents of this outline that justice is able to come for you. I've told a lot of stories in the Marble community. This is one that I haven't enjoyed, but something that I needed to do. So, I'm here for you.
Yeah, and like there was a lot more that went behind the scenes. Like our informants had their own timeline. We didn't go over some of the stuff. Like Whiteboard like asked some community members to write articles for them, and then like they changed them without their permission and uploaded them. Like there are like a lot of things that like have been very dubious about Whiteboard and their actions in the community, but because it's under the Whiteboard label, unless there's an obvious signifier like alter ego in the title of their article, there is no way to know who is responsible for like certain actions. But needless to say, things at Whiteboard have been very not good. That's a very simple way of saying it, but like it's been pretty bad.
Great adjective.
Great adjective. It's been pretty terrible. The community has been suffering through a lot of mismanagement, and signs point to Conrad-Heinz. Maybe there are some other bad players. The JMA need to, like the actual good members of the JMA need to actually kind of, and as well as like JMR themselves, need to clear this out and figure out what is going on over there.
And they need to take accountability for it.
Yes.
It's tough talking about these things, like just as fans, and I would say at this point the three of us have a better understanding of what happens behind the scenes than most fans do. Obviously, like me particularly. But if we don't talk about
a lot. That's why my lunches, I need those lunches with him, or I'll fall very behind.
If we don't talk about these things, then like they're just gonna keep getting away with this mismanagement. So
yes,
this is why we're here, to reach all of you worldwide. I gotta go.
Yeah, we've ran along here.
Oh, no way. Long?
No way. But yeah, again, if you want to find more information, links to the outline we made, the outline from our informants, as well as we might throw in some extra stuff. There'll be stuff on the Discord server, absolutely.
We're gonna try to create a live transcript of this episode too.
Yep.
That's wild. That's so cool. Okay, listen, guys, this is going to be the end then. Remember, 2 more episodes coming up. One of them is going to actually recap Marble League, believe it or not, and the other one will be with Stynth and doing kind of a final dive into all the current up-to-date stuff on Dion and any other ancillary things. And then to this point, all that drama will be covered, all the marbles will be covered, and we'll send you off from there. So look forward to those episodes. Obviously, a lot more to cover, and we're not a big fan of what things are going on in this community currently. It is bad. The future is looking bad as far as the existence of this channel over the next few years, but that's why we're talking about it, because there's always hope. Where there is struggle, there is always hope. Anyway, so let's get out of here, Waff. Take us out, and we'll see you next week.
All right. No matter what, remember to roll on, Marble Sports fans.